Hi guys, Ricky Pope here, and this week on the Christian Nerd Unite podcast, I'm joined by Storytelling Ron as we talk about his new tabletop role-playing game called For the Lord, plus scripture and nerdy news, and we'll get to all of that right after this. I'm so glad you chose to join us today. Your listening right now is the reason I do this show. I would love for you to give us a review on your favorite podcasting app or share the podcast with your friends. That helps the show more than you can ever imagine. But before we get to our interview with Storytelling Ron, let's read some scripture. Matthew 13, 2-3. Such large crowds gathered around him that he got into a boat and sat in it, while all the people stood on the shore. Then he told them many things in parables, saying, a farmer went out to sow his seed. Matthew 13, 33-35. He told them still another parable. The kingdom of heaven is like yeast that a woman took and mixed into about 60 pounds of flour until it worked all through the dough. Jesus spoke all these things to the crowd in parables. He did not say anything to them without using a parable. Souls fulfilled what was spoken through the prophet. I will open my mouth in parables. I will utter things hidden since the creation of the world. Jesus always taught in parables, and he always used stories to convey deep meanings. These stories helped bring the gospel to life to the people who were listening, to connect it with what people already knew. We can use storytelling in the same way today to communicate truth of the gospel as well. Whether that's through short stories, sermons, or even collaborative storytelling like tabletop role-playing games. I hope that you will consider how you could use great storytelling to communicate the gospel in a fresh way. Now for some nerdy news. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania took the box office this weekend with a 4-day opening of $120 million, one of the best showings ever for the President's Day holiday, and the best yet for the Ant-Man franchise. Many critics panned the film for being good, but being limited because it was really just setting up future MCU movies, and its overall dependence on CGI. Giving it a critic score of only 48 on Rotten Tomatoes. But audiences seem to mostly enjoy the film with an audience rating of 84. Personally, I think this disparity is more about critics' fatigue on comic book franchise movies and less about this film or any real audience fatigue. Disney is continuing its march to remake every major Disney cartoon into a live-action film, announcing that Zach Galifianakis has closed the deal to star in Lilo and Stitch. No words on what character he'll be playing, and reports say that the studio is making a wide search for actresses to play Lilo and her older sister, and also point to possibly being a Disney Plus only release rather than a theatrical release. Expect to hear more soon. M. Night Shyamalan of Split and Sixth Sense fame will be moving from Universal Studios to a new studio home. The filmmaker and his Blind Edge Pictures have inked a multi-year first-look deal with Warner Brothers. The studio has already set a date for his next feature, Trap, which will open August 2nd, 2024. Under the deal, Shyamalan will develop projects for Warner Brothers Pictures and New Line. Well, Storytelling Ron has launched a Kickstarter for his new game called For the Lord. With over 2 weeks left in the Kickstarter, he's already met and exceeded his goal. The game is focused on the idea of missions, sharing the gospel, and church planting, set in the Dark Ages, with an overarching aim at humor and having fun. Let's get right into our interview. Storytelling Ron, it is so great to have you on the Christian Nerd Unite podcast today.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
So wanted to bring you on. I've been kind of following you at a distance a little bit for a while. I had caught wind that you were working on a Christian RPG of some sort, and your Kickstarter hadn't actually started yet. But I noticed your Kickstarter, as of this recording, your Kickstarter started a little less than 3 days ago, and you're already almost to halfway point on your goal. So that's pretty exciting. But tell us a little bit about who Storytelling Ron is.
Wow, I didn't know we were gonna go that far back. Um, so DM, GM 40, let's stick with this. Yeah, DM, GM 40, 45 years. I've been doing role playing for quite a while. I don't like I'm envious of the guys that just know everything about the publishing and the makers and the writers and all that. I'm not that guy. I used it for what I needed it for, and then went on to do other things, in life, kind of thing. But I do love watching, those guys here on YouTube talking about all the history. I just love doing it, and this last summer kind of saw the writing on the wall as far as D&D and the culture, and um, I love D&D. I grew up with D&D. I grew up with RPGs, but it's gotten to the point where it's not my D&D anymore. It's, and then of course the whole OSR movement is exploding. So, and now with with what's been happening with WotC and D&D, I'm like, wow. So I wanted to create a based on my faith too, and based on the joy that I have in Christ, a role playing game, and just what do I want to do? I want to, every day. I want to. I love D&D, but I don't want to do D&D. So I just slowly created this. Um, and I want to give credit to Mork Borg and Mothership for showing me how to simplify and go for something OSR, bare bones. Um, and because I was working on one that was more 5e ish, and then when I got those, I was like, oh wow, let's go the other way. And then with the other ones too, I think Questing Beast has really has been very interesting too, watching his show or his YouTube channel. So yeah, so and of course I think what I got, which I feel is original, because I don't know if it anywhere else, is the being an actual missionary and evangelizing, but in a silly, fun, cartoony way against funny pagans, Um, and when I figured that out, and you know, it took it was revelation and everything else. I'm just like, "Ah." But I'm still learning it myself right now. I'm still learning how to GM that way. I've never GM'd a way where you've got your character, they're bringing their missionaries, and I'm playing the pagans, and I still want to do fun adventure and fighting and stuff, but I wanted to have that conversation in there somewhere, that funny, but in a funny way. What's wrong with slavery? What's wrong with sacrificing our, to our gods and to, our children or our friends? And I don't see the problem with that, kind of silly stuff. I keep it family friendly and all that, but I'm just kind of showing you where I've been going with it and stuff. So
Very cool. Well, for those of our audience who aren't super familiar with role playing games, that you mentioned OSR. Tell the audience a little bit what you mean when you say OSR.
you have nerds that are not familiar with RPG. Are you serious?
I, we have nerds of all flavors. Some of them don't play role playing games.
That's true. That's true. You got me there. OSR, old school revival, is the way we Christians say it. Old school Renaissance, whatever. But it's basically Dungeons and Dragons from the 80s and 90s, and how it was just more about adventuring, getting treasure, um, getting more treasure, getting experience points, and it felt like a simple um Lord of the Rings type adventure where and and there's no big agenda there. There's no um whatever's going on today, the culture and the woke and all that. There's none of that in there. There's just fun silliness. And today, so that's what they're trying to do. They're just trying to revive that, and have that fun.
I definitely know where you're coming from there. Recently, well, over the last couple of years, I've actually been part of a old school Renaissance D&D. We played D&D um, uh, 1, basically. We were going through the old school manuals, and we were playing old adventures from back in the 80s, and
Mhm.
we were building characters the way they built characters in the 80s, and it was an interesting experience going back to those old style kinds of play.
Right.
um so talking about your new game, now your game is called For the Lord RPG,
Mhm.
and you've kind of alluded to some of it. Tell us a little bit more about it, and what makes this special? What makes it different than some other role playing games that people might experience?
Well, it's Christian and missionary based. And then as the grand minister, I would create you're all are going on a mission to go to this village, go to this valley and plant a church and figure out what's going on there. What's the mystery there? What's the investigation going to be? What baddies are there? And then dealing with that. Can you deal with them peacefully? Do you have to will resort to fun full on violence? Yay. That's the or will you get them to surrender and evangelize? And then once you sort of plant the church, you role play that out, have fun with it. Hopefully they'll accept you. And we got some dice rolls in there. And if they do, you heal up, you gain skills, you get your glory points, your experience points, and then you get your next mission kind of thing. It's kind of like that sort of simple um, framework for the role playing game. And I make it rules light, so it's very simple to jump into. Very simple for the Grand Minister to create a nun, or a clergy, or a warrior, um, or a paladin, holy knight, to give to family members, to the aunt or the grandma, and they can, with that one sheet, they can really big old person printable letters. You will have a full character sitting there that you can play and not worry about, reading. Because I can't, I need that 20 font, 20 point font myself. Uh, so yeah, I wanted that. I wanted a simple, easy to play character building role playing game, OSR style. Let me add this. I'll add that I also include printables, so you could print out the tokens and fold them and have little tokens on your table, or and then you have printable map pieces, so you can print those out. Printer friendly, those are black and white, and then you can make your little crypts, your little forest, your little village as little pieces. And your kids can color them if they wanted, but they're silly doodles on my end, and I did that thinking about uh, a lot of it being free. Now, the game's down a little bit on my website, and then printing these out so you have everything you need right there. I mean, except for the dice.
Mm.
You have your little tokens and your little set pieces. So that's another aspect of it that I really enjoy doing. You know,
Now, I know you said it's rules light, and one of the things I noticed when I was kind of investigating and watching some of your videos on it, um, your character building is super simple. You just have a set of numbers that you basically choose which
for the traits.
area, yeah, which trait you're going to put in that area, what number you're going to use for
Yeah,
that trait, but it's already a set of numbers,
yeah,
so that you don't have to worry about rolling things. You don't have to worry about trying to calculate things. Um, that My guess is that makes it. I don't know if it makes it harder or makes it better for those who are the kind of people that try to game the system,
yeah. I don't like
try
gaming
to.
the system. I min max and all that. I hate that as a GM. As a DM of 45 years, I hate that, and D&D is notorious for that. Um, And Warhammer 40K, I used to play that quite a bit. So I should make a video on that. How I remember going from Sun Army to like these hero systems, and min maxing and all that. I just um there is when you make the characters too, there is an opportunity there to role play out a fully fledged out character. But I want you to role play it out. I don't want you to tell me you're a bard You can become a bard. I don't want you to tell me you're a bard. I want you to say, my cleric goes and finds the minstrel and asks to buy loot from them. And then when you get a glory point, you may spend a upgrade playing loot plus D4. Don't tell me you're going to be a bard, or I'm not going to give you a class that you have to follow. You have to role play out where your character goes, and there's no limit. There's no force feeding you down the bard path. You tell me, you pursue it as your character, and you can go. I want to play lute. I want to sing a song. I want to heal with my songs. I want to, okay, let's role play that out. So that's so. Even though I say that it's a rules light, I feel as a experienced GM that this is the best way to make a character is by role playing it out, and then you can build out any skills you want. I don't have a list of skills. You decide. You pick the skills. I mean, we narrow it. Don't generalize like I play all musical instruments. You know,
Yeah.
narrow it down. But the sky's the limit as far as what you want to do, like where you want to take that character. And the traits, like you said, I gave you set points at the beginning, but you can add to those traits on your own as you develop your character. You can upgrade those traits. Everything is upgradable in your character.
Nice.
As you accomplish, your church planning and your glory points build you up into the that next level type of thing. Not levels, but skills.
Nice. So are there any other mechanics that you use in this game that are either significantly different than, say, standard Dungeons
Oh,
and
so it's,
Dragons, or is there anything that's innately special other than definitely we have a Christian setting here, obviously,
and
but
missionary
do you
based.
have and missionary
But,
based?
but yeah.
So what are there any other mechanics that you use that are this is kind of just for this game?
Okay, so yeah, I do, and I'm gonna rattle them off, but they may, I've certainly been looking at other games. So if I feel like I've taken from one of them, good, because I did, whatever. So again, no skill list. You can pick skills as you want. Combat wise, generally you just hit on a 12. Generally speaking, there's a shield, and you can add your awareness trait, but the armor does not play into the defense.
Mm,
So you're generally going to have very, very similar numbers 12, 13, 14, 15, somewhere around that range. Um, if you have a shield, because that's dodging and blocking. Armor absorbs damage. So if you do have armor, after you get hit,
oh,
you can reduce the damage. Um,
I
what
actually
else?
like that idea.
Yeah. So the hit is very much in the same range for everybody, with
Mhm.
your skills and traits and all that. And 12 is generally the number to accomplish a skill. Especially at the
Okay.
beginning play, like with beginners, just do
Mhm.
12. Don't worry about making it 14 or 16, or whatever. And saving throws, 12. Just do 12. And then as you progress and as you use the GM progress, you can start, evilly fiddling with that number.
Making it a
um,
little harder now that you
yeah.
are so
And
much more skilled than you
now that
were.
everyone's so confident that they're going to convert everybody that they come across, um, what else? No levels. So you just upgrade skills as you want. I'm gonna make a video on that. I hate characters go up levels. Then they get 17 different things that I'm not aware of or didn't research, and then they all start throwing those around. And so you just slowly, incrementally build up your character with the different skills and the traits and whatever it is that you want to explore and role play. Um, the my I'm gonna use this for just as a denominator common denominator word or whatever, spell casting. So the Christians in it, the missionaries don't cast spells. They do blessings, miracles,
Mhm.
heal, um, protection, glory, pray. They have the power of prayer and all that, and they use their faith points. So it's based on your basically your wisdom, your spirit. So if you have a 4
Okay.
wisdom, then you have 4 points, and you can spend it on how many you want to affect. That's a D. Let's say they spend it on 1 faith point per thing I'm talking about here. So if they have 4
Okay.
faith points, and so how many do you want to bless? How many do you want to bless? Okay, I want to bless D4. So you get to roll a D4 and see how many of your allies you get to bless. spend 1 point on that. I want to spend. How long do you want it to last? Another point, D4. So roll that. You get how many turns it lasts, and then I want to give them a D4, bonus. So they get a +4 for that many turns, that many allies,
Okay.
and then that kind of works for everything. Heal, glory. The Holy Knight gets a glory, and it's based on their faith points, and then they just get those every encounter. So if they have 4 faith, they can spend 4 every encounter. They get as long as they get a little bit of a in
Okay.
between, they get them every encounter, and they can raise those. They can upgrade it. They can raise their spirit, like a wisdom, or they can specifically add more faith points to their faith, so that they have more per encounter. So that's kind of different to me. It's not spell list in that
Mhm.
sense. So
Cool.
yeah, so each spell is very upgradable and expandable is the way I make it. And there
Nice.
is black magic. There's black magic, and pagans and witches that use black magic on you or try to on you
Mm,
on Christians. But they use it more on the people around you that can then attack you or go
mm.
after you. Yeah, that kind of thing.
Interesting. You mentioned that it's kind of rules light, and you also mentioned that you can download most of the game.
Yeah.
So is this something that you feel now, obviously based on what you've described, you can definitely have long campaigns that can go on for a long time.
Mhm.
Do you think it's also, would it be good for a one shot, or just like just a single night of fun, or is this really more geared toward a longer adventure?
It's both because the characters are quick. You can quickly make a character, and when you look at it, you can quickly understand that character. Like when you look at the sheets, I have a starter kit that you can download that has a few characters, and they're to me, a grandma should be able to understand this, kind of thing, and play that character. And then again, like I said, that since there's no skill list or there's no limit to what you can do with the character as far as where you go with them, that's a long campaign right there. And there's no 10th level cap or 15th,
Mm,
and at 10th level in D&D, it's the characters are so unwieldy,
yes.
with how much they have on them and what they're doing. And then you can only put demons up against them or something, or gods or whatever. But in my game, you're gonna you're gonna spread out your upgrades in different areas, and your hit points or vitality may only go up to 20 or 22, in a year
Mm,
because you only spent it a few times to upgrade it. Um,
mm.
so a wild boar is still going to be dangerous to you, you know, after a year of playing. I can still throw, goblin, a kobold goblin type creatures at you
Mhm.
at later on, and they can still be dangerous, so because in medieval times, boars kill kings. Historically been, written down that they kill kings. So,
Yeah,
uh, yeah. So in my game, that's that. You in order to get more hit points, you have to actually buy them yourself. You don't just get them, when you go up a level or something.
very cool. Now,
Yeah.
you described, the role playing part. Now, there are some games that are very crunchy, very numbers heavy, lots of dice, lots of calculations. Um, they're more the dungeon crawl kind of things. And then there are games that are, maybe you roll the dice two or three times in an evening, and it's mostly role play. Where do you think this game falls in that kind of spectrum?
I guess in the middle because I hope that there's less dice rolls, but so in the role playing part of it, it's generally one or two rolls in a role playing um, when you're actually social stuff. But in the fighting, it can get pretty fun and dense in there. Um,
Okay.
and here's another unique thing. I don't have an initiative system.
Okay.
Well, the initiative is narratively. Who do you think? I just kind of decide who goes first, and if the players want to jump in, I'll let them, and
Okay.
we will fall into a
Interesting.
rhythm. Yeah, like because I'll
Hmm.
have like light, scrappy, say cult warriors, right? And I'll
Mhm.
just say they run at you and go first. Like Oh, but you have a spear. Okay, never mind. You get to jab him first. Oh, she has the crossbow. Oh, you can fire first. Go ahead before he gets to you. So that's how it plays out, and it's been wonderful. I really enjoy it. I do like roll initiative, but but it feels like we all stop, we all mechanically line up, we all look, compare, and contrast dexterities. You know, I don't in this game with no initiative. I just you see a little scrappy guy, he charges at you. You don't have a chance. I'm gonna roll. Oh, you guys, then we just kind of go from there, and then it's funny. It just rolls out, and then we're all in order. And then usually, I kind of get it to the point where all the missionaries attack at the same time, and all the villains. Just because I don't want to worry about the order anymore. But at the beginning, it's fun and crazy. But then as it goes along, I just let them all go together, and then
Mm.
and I let them. I favor the players, right? Favor the missionaries in it. If there's ever like a real issue or anything. That's another thing.
Very cool.
But it's gotten a few times where it's gotten tough. But the main reason it's gotten tough is they would go up against the finale thing, and the finale is usually a demon. So there's demon possession. There can be demon possessed,
Okay.
and they'll have a little unholy protection. Like they'll have their regular armor plus an unholy armor, and then
Mm.
so the missionaries have had difficulties with that, and then dealing with exercising that out of them before they can really get to the human or beast underneath that. So there's that kind of thing.
Okay. So when you're let's say someone is wanting to play your game, they downloaded it, they're going to be the DM. What kind of advice would you give to this DM who's just playing your game for the first time?
Don't do it. It's crazy. Do something else. No. Um, well, so first thing, and I'm actually I want to do a video on this. As a game master, a grand minister, the first thing you need to do is be super humble with your friends, your family. Let them know you don't know what the heckadoodles you're doing. Don't try to. That's my advice to any dungeon master. Never try to sell to your players that you're in complete control and in charge of the game, the rules in the game, and what's going on. Don't ever do that, because you then have to play that the entire 2 or 3 hours and you're falling apart at some point, and they can smell it. And now you're sweating and you're hating yourself, and you've embarrassed yourself because you're pretending what better than them, and you don't. And start at the very beginning saying, I don't know what I'm doing. You guys want to try this out? Start humble. Sit at the end of the table and wait and let the players ask you to come up, as the as the GM. That's my one big advice. And for this game, it's easy, it's fun. I'm open to anyone contacting me for a tutorial, a one-on-one tutorial, or a group, showing them how to play it. That's kind of a next phase of my thing here. Is I'm going to try to get like an open workshop type thing where I can give people I'll give them first the silliness of just taking it easy. And then the next step is, okay, here's how you should do this. Here's how you should do that kind of thing. But I'm definitely going to work on that as well, like workshops for anyone that's interested in figuring out how to use this thing.
Now you did say that you have a version you can download, but what exactly do you get with if you become part of the group that joins your Kickstarter?
Oh, so the Kickstarter is just really for the print. I mean, and then this thing right here, right? It's a zine quest
Okay.
thing. It looks like it's a print, and this is the test print, and I did it locally here in Hollywood, LA, little printing shop down here, because I wanted it hands on. I wanted to just go in and feel it myself, and so so I wanted to do a Kickstarter to do that and see if I could get that out there if people wanted that. But I did want to offer it free. It's a PDF on my website. You just sign up as a member, it's free. And I can send newsletters every other day or whatever. But if I can even get one done. So you get the game, the full game, the PDF with an example adventures in it, a bunch of creatures, and just talk about role playing and Christians role playing, and the history is light. It's meant to be light. It's meant to be silly. but it's based in 6th century Italy. And
Okay.
after the fall of Rome and the Germanic barbarians coming down, and then there's that right in the middle there, a wonderful period of just plagues and uh, you know, Gothic Punic Gothic wars, and everyone's dying, and then the missionaries start coming up into there and planting churches. Um, so you get the rule book, you get a starter. I did a little starter kit kind of thing with characters and the scenario that I play on YouTube that you guys can watch and see how I jam it myself. And I'm jamming it there like I've never done this before. But like I've never done a Christian missionary anything. So that's the first time I ever did it, and those are the videos on my YouTube channel, the shows. And then I also have the downloadable printables, like the printable tokens and map pieces, and then the VTT assets as little token, you know,
Hmm.
that you can put on in your Roll20 or Foundry or whatever, so you can use them on there.
Gotcha. The virtual tabletop stuff. Very
Yeah,
cool.
virtual tabletop. Yeah. So those
Now
assets.
you've mentioned a couple times that it's a little silly. What do you mean?
A lot of silly. Um, just having a good time, being silly. Like Christians, we love to argue. So that's what I mean. We're just sitting around arguing about how to be a
I
Christian.
I have this horrible vision when you're talking about eventually you build the church together as a group, and I just envisioned this church meeting where what'd you say,
Sixth
sixth
century.
century, what,
Yeah.
6th century people
Sixth, seventh
arguing
century.
over the color of the carpet in the new church that they're building.
Well, there's been some cooking roles that have just been disastrous for the missionaries, in their and when they're trying to appeal to the locals. I think that was in one of the games. So it's just have fun. It's not meant to be a preaching theological lecture. It's
Mm,
meant to have kids and youth groups and families sit around, and I don't want blaspheming. I don't want that kind of thing. But I want them to just enjoy being sort of a Christian missionary. Fantasize. It's kind of fantasizing, but having fun, and planning. Feel like you're planning a church in an area, and um, again, I don't want it to be memorizing Bible verses or like feel like you're in a church. You got your worship time, but you got to have your rest and silly time and family friendly time, but still kind of Christian traditional. This game is definitely for us Christians that are, we want the traditions of the Christian faith. We don't want all the woke and pushy and crazy stuff that's going on in the world. So this game is meant for
very
people. It's meant to be fun. It's meant to be fun.
very cool. Well, anything else you wanna share with the audience real quick before we talk about where to find you?
Um, Anything else? Well, yeah, I don't know. I guess it will tie into the where to find me, but that's I guess the biggest thing is if any of you are interested, just contact me through my website. If you want to start a group, if you want me to jump in and help you, I'm more than happy to. I've got time. Just ask my wife. I have time. So I'm here. I'm here for you. And I've got some, and I do some shows. So if anyone wants to jump in, like as a guest, I'm game to that too. Uh, just be somewhat Christian, half Christian at least. Yeah, whatever that
Very
means.
cool. Well, tell the audience where they can find you.
Yeah. So storytellingron.com. That's where I've got the all the info. I've got a Kickstarter right now for February ish. If you want to get the print version, there is an annual membership on there as well. If you get the print, and then you can do the annual membership. So if you have an annual membership, which I will start up after the Kickstarter, I will put on more stuff on there. For the people that buy an annual membership, it's like a Patreon, but it's on my website for 1 year, and then and if and On there, I have my old Star Wars and D&D stuff, so you could go find it. It's all hidden there somewhere, but it's accessible to anybody. And you can it shows you kind of what I can put on there, what I will be putting on there. So in the future, I will be putting on more missions for the missionaries, more tokens, more modular pieces, and more ideas. And I will be probably listing off skills and classes as suggestions, as ideas, not as as a requirement or anything. I got a couple of people giving me stuff that I can add on as well. So there's that, and I also am going to be doing a. They're pretty much done. I'm just trying to format them and clean them up. Um, Apostles of the Apocalypse setting,
Okay.
same rules, but Apostles of the
Okay.
Apocalypse. Oh, by the way, I should clarify that Apostles of the Post-Apocalypse. It's a post-apocalyptic. It's Gamma World.
Nice.
It's Hyperborea type of thing. Gamma World and Hyperborea, like crazy. Same. You're a missionary. You gotta go out and get around the mutant bugs and find the survivors from the post-apocalyptic nuclear fallout and convert them before you got to get eaten. You cannot
I
convert the
I
mutant bugs, though. I will say that right
I
now. You
love
can,
it.
and then I have a Christian sci-fi one as well, and it's biblical. It fits in with the Bible. So
Very cool.
yeah. So
Well,
I got stuff happening. Yeah.
awesome. Well, Ron, I will put links down in the show notes down below. So if anybody wants to follow you, they can click down there and find you. Ron, it has been great having you on the show this week.
Are you sure?
I'm sure. Thank you so much.
Thanks for your time.
It was great getting to know Ron and hearing about his new game. If you want to check out the game or follow Ron, use the links down in the show notes below. Well, that's all I have for you today. Don't forget to like, subscribe, click all those links, whatever the links are down there, so you can keep up with us and you'll be informed every time we put out new content. And you can find all of our social links to our YouTube channel and our online store at ChristianNerdsUnite.com. If you enjoy the show and want to help even more, consider becoming a supporter on Patreon. We've changed all of our Patreon levels last year, and every level has great benefits and makes a huge difference in the ministry we're able to do. Supporters will also get to hear exclusive stories of believers we are serving around the world through our ministry partners. To check it out or to partner with us, go to patreon.com/ChristianNerdsUnite or ChristianNerdsUnite.com and click support in the menu. Before I go, I do want to leave you with this blessing from Philippians 1. And this is my prayer, that your love may abound more and more in knowledge and depth of insight, so that you may be able to discern what is best and may be pure and blameless for the day of Christ, filled with the fruit of righteousness that comes through Jesus Christ, to the glory and praise of God. We'll see you next week. Blessings.